Hello and welcome to another video. In this one, we're going to be talking about how to import files which the normal import statement doesn't work for. This is going to be both files that have invalid module names as well as just random source files that don't have a Python extension. So let's jump into it and show you both of those. All right, so the first one is a little bit easier. So let's start by doing that one. If we have a Python file, and this is foo-bar.py, let's just do print hello world, just to show that it gets imported, and just to show that it runs first off. So this runs fine. But if we go into a Python interpreter and I try and do import foo-bar to match the module name here, I will get a syntax error. And this is because module names in Python must be valid identifiers, and the dash is subtraction, so it's not part of a valid identifier. I also can't do foo_bar. There's no name normalization that happens here. It's it just doesn't work. You can't import this module using the import statement. But there is the import built-in, which is a function, which is how the import statement is kind of implemented. And this one works fine with non-identifiers. So you can actually import this dashed name using double-ender import. I'm not sure whether this is a bug or not. It seems like a feature, but at the same time, it's kind of in that gray area where this doesn't seem like what was intended here. But it does work. So if your module name, if your file name ends in .py, you can still use the double-ender import built-in, just with a specialized name to import that module. So that works. Now, the other thing that I wanted to show you is importing of a file that does not have an extension. This might be like an entry point in an executable or a script that you have or something. Maybe you're writing tests for something. I don't know. There's all sorts of reasons that you might want to do that. But let's say that we have, I don't know, our module named entry or something like that. Maybe it has a shebang and if name equals main, main, and maybe it has a main that prints hello world. I don't know. Some script like this, and we chmod plus x that entry. So just to show that it works. Maybe we wanted to test this for some reason, and we can't just do import entry. Python doesn't know about our file because it doesn't have a .py extension or a .so extension or any of the other extensions that are supported. And we can't use double-ender import. We can't use the same trick as before. For the same reason, it's not a Python file, so it doesn't know how to look it up. So we have to reach into the import_lib machinery to figure out how to import this. And the way we do this is a little bit complicated. It used to be a lot easier in Python 2, and before the machinery rewrite happened, the inf module had like a one function import for this. But you now need to go through the full module setup process in order for this to work. And in order to do that, we need to import two things. First, the importlib.machinery, as well as importlib.util. We're going to be using the machinery. We're going to be using one part of the machinery directly to load source files, and then we're going to use the util to kind of step it down and actually build the module that we want. So from importlib machinery, we need to make a loader, and we're going to do that by doing importlib.machinery.sourcefileloader. And sourcefileloader takes two arguments. The first is the module name that we want to produce, and the second is the file name. I usually use module names that aren't going to clash with other modules, even though this isn't a real file on disk, just to be on the safer side. But it really doesn't matter. We're probably not going to be sticking this module into sys.modules, so I can name it whatever I want here. So I'm going to call it entry, and we're going to be looking at the entry file. Technically, I could just put entry for both of these since the files are going to resolve from the working directory. So that gets us our loader. From our loader, we need to get a module spec, and this kind of tells the import system how it was built. I don't know, this stuff's all pretty complicated. But you can get that from using importlib.util.spec from loader. And spec from loader takes two arguments, the module name and the loader. Unfortunately, loader has a name attribute, so we can get our spec here. And just to show what we have so far, we have the loader and we have the spec. And the spec says like what name it is, where it came from, as well as its origin. This is useful for Never mind. This is complicated. This tells it where the file system entry comes from, so it's not always present. Okay, so once we have a spec, then we can create a module, and we can do that by doing mod equals import lib.util.module from spec. This all seems absurd given how many steps this takes to do. So you can make your module next. Now, of course, this module doesn't have anything in it yet. So if we look at its attributes, it just has the basic module attributes. So it doesn't have, you know, the main function yet. So you can see we can't get that yet because we have to do one final step, which is we need to tell the loader to build this module, and we do that by doing loader.exec module, and we pass in the module. And now we should finally have our main function, which we can call. It's a little bit complicated. Putting that all together, we did loader equals, we assigned our loader, we did spec equals, we assigned our spec, then we did our module assignment, and then we did our exec module. And so those are kind of the 4 steps that it takes to import a module from a source file. A little bit complicated, but if you need it, there it is. Anyway, hopefully this was interesting. If there are additional things you would like me to explain, leave a comment below or reach out to me on the various platforms. But thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one.